Hello students, I hope all of you are doing great, and now we are going to start the very first lecture of our chapter, that is chemical effect of electric current and magnetism. Now in this chapter we are going to discuss about the electric current and magnetism. These are the very good phenomenon of our nature, and now we are going to study about these phenomena of science in detail. Now, the very first topic that we are going to study about is electricity. Now, what is electricity? Have you ever imagined that your house is lit up with kerosene and you are without ACs in summers? So, you can't imagine a life without electricity. Nowadays, nobody can imagine a life without electricity, and that's what makes it so important for us. Now, the very first, if we have to give a definition of electricity, then electricity is an invisible form of energy. It is not visible, and that's why it is an invisible form of energy. So, we are going to write here that electricity is an invisible form of form of energy. It is an invisible form of energy, and it is a branch of science which deals with the interaction of one charge to another charge. In these electricity, that means it is the branch of science. It is the branch of science which deals with the study of which deals with the study of interaction of one charge to another charge, which deals with the study of interaction of one charge to another charge. That means charges are involved in this, and it is a study of interaction where interaction of one charge happens with the another charge. Now, basically, what do we mean by electricity here is that electricity is just a branch of science that deals with charges, and that deals with the interaction of charges, that how are the charges interacted. Now, electricity can also be divided in two parts. Electricity is divided in two parts, and there are two types of electricity. Now we are going to divide the electricity in two parts, and the two parts are, the very first is static electricity. The first is static electricity, and the second is current electricity. The first one is static electricity and the second is current electricity. Now we are going to discuss each one of them in detail. Now the next is that static electricity. Now it is a branch of science, static electricity. Static means at rest. So static means at rest, and it is a branch of science that deals with the study of electric charges at rest. So it is a branch of science the branch of science that deals with the study of it is the branch of science that deals with the study of electric charges at rest. That deals with the study of electric charges at rest. and we are going to also study their effects in this static electricity and their effects. And it is also called as electrostatic. It is also called as electrostatic or static electricity. It is also called as electrostatic or static electricity. Now, what do we mean by electrostatic is that where the electricity is static. Static electricity is stationary electricity basically. We can define static electricity as static electricity is basically stationary electricity static electricity is basically stationary electricity, and here there is no flow of charge. The charges are at rest. Static means at rest, and here the charges are at rest. Now the next topic that we are going to discuss about is when charges are in motion, and that is called as current electricity. Now, what is current electricity? Current electricity is that when the electric charges are in motion. So this is the branch of science. This is the branch of science which deals with the study of electric charges, which deals with the study of electric charges. It is a branch of science which deals with the study of electric charges, and the electric charges are in motion. The electric charges are in motion. And we are also going to study their effects, and their effects is called as current electricity. And it is called as current electricity. And in the current electricity, it is the current electricity only which lights up our houses and streets and our televisions. Because if there is no flow of charge, then there will be no lights. So it is the current electricity only. It is the current electricity only which lights up our houses, which lights up our houses and streets and our televisions also, and our televisions. So all the electricity that is flowing in our houses and everywhere is current electricity only, because there the electricity is in motion. Now, the next topic, I hope this is clear to all of you what do we mean by static and current electricity. And now the next topic that we are going to discuss about is electric current. Now, what is electric current? So we have studied about electricity, and in electricity, the electric current only flows. So as to know about the electric current, first of all, we have to know a little bit about atom, that what is an atom. So an atom is made up of nucleus and electrons. An atom is made up of nucleus and electrons, and we in here nucleus has a positive charge. Here nucleus has a positive charge, and we can also denote positive charge with a sign of plus. And in electrons have a negative charge. Electrons have negative charge, and we can denote the negative charge with a sign of minus. Electrons have a negative charge. Now what happens is that in some materials, the electrons in the outermost shell are loosely held. There are some materials in which the electrons of the outer shell are loosely held, and the current flows when electrons jump between atoms. What is a current? A current flows when electrons jump between the atoms. When electrons jump between the atoms, a current flows when the electrons jump between the atoms that make up the metal in wire. When electrons jump between the atoms that make up the metal, in a metal, when electrons jump between atoms, then electric current flows. Electrons jump between the atoms that make up the metal in a wire. That make up the metal in a wire. Also, thus a flow of electrons is called as electric current. Basically, what is electric current is? Electric current is the flow of electrons. So, flow of electrons, we can write here as flow of electrons. The flow of electrons are the negatively charged particles, and the flow of electrons is called as electric current. Now you've been wondering that why do positive charge particles do not flow? Because positive charge particles cannot flow because it is in the nucleus, and they have a strong force of attraction with nucleus. So the positive charges cannot flow, but negative charge are loosely held and they can flow between the atoms. So that's why the electric current exists. The flow of electron is called the electric current. Now the next topic that we are going to study about is electric charge. Now we have studied about the electricity, we have studied about electric current. Now what is electric charge? So electric charge is basically a property of matter. It is a property of matter. Like in matter, we have studied about the physical and chemical properties. So electric charge is also a property of metal. A property of matter, and it is called as charge. It is called as charge, and it gives rise to electricity. And this property gives rise to electricity, and because charge produces different effects depending on whether it is static or whether it is current. So it gives rise to electricity, the charge that is present and it is a property of matter. It gives rise to electricity and produces different effects, and it produces different effects it produces different effects on whether the electricity is static or moving, on whether it is static or moving. Moving is current, electricity. Now, if, for example, if amber rubbed with silk, the example is that when amber is rubbed with silk, when amber is rubbed with silk, then what happens is that the amber attracts feathers because of the accumulation or gathering of charge on it. When amber is rubbed with silk, then amber attracts feathers. It attracts feathers because of the accumulation or gathering of charge on it. Because of the accumulation or gathering of charge because of the accumulation or gathering of charge on it. Gathering of, just have to write gathering of charge on it. Now, if we talk about this example, then this is an example of static electricity, and we also call that as electrostatics. Now, we are going to study about what is static electricity in detail basically, and so this is the example of static electricity. The example we have studied with amber when rubbed with silk. So this is the example. This is the example of static electricity. Now, if we talk about the electrostatics, then when charge flows, we get an electric current. This is an example of electrostatic. And when charge flows, when the charges flows, then what happens is that we get an electric current. With the flow of charge only, we get an electric current. With the flow of charge only, we get an electric current. And the glowing of a bulb when a current passes through it is called electric current. So how can we define the electric current in our general life? That when a bulb glow, so the glowing of a bulb, the glowing of a bulb, when a current passes through it, The glowing of a bulb when a current passes through it is an effect of electric current. It is an effect of electric current. So all the appliances that we see around us, these are the effect of electric current only because there was the flow of electrons. There are the flow of electrons and that's why that is an effect of electric current. Now the next topic that we are going to talk about is type of charge. Now, what is a type of charge and how can we differentiate charge? So, basically, there are two kinds of charge. We all know that there are two kinds of charge. The very first one is positive charge and the other one is negative charge. So, there are two types of charges. There are two types of charges. The one is positive charge and the next is negative charge. So we are going to talk about them also. And in convention names, in an atom, if we look what are the positive and negative charges. So in an atom, the particles that carry negative charge are called electrons. In an atom, the particles that carry negative charge in an atom, the particles that carry negative charge are called as electrons, are called as electrons, and the particles that carry positive charge are called as protons. And those particles that carry positive charge are called protons. Also, electrons can move from one place to another, but protons cannot. And electrons are able to move from one place to another because they are loosely held by the atom. So electrons can move from one point to another. Electrons can move from one point to another within a substance, only in a substance or in a compound itself. But protons are not able to do that because protons are in the nucleus of the atom and they are tightly held by the atom. The force of attraction in the protons is very high, but the force of attraction in electrons is not that high. So, but protons cannot move. But protons cannot. Now, the next topic that we are going to talk about is electrostatic force. Now, what is electrostatic force? We all know that in an atom, the there are equal number of protons and electrons, and that's why that atom is balanced, and that's why the atom is electrically neutral. So we all know that a charged object can repel or attract a charged object. So these forces of attraction or repulsion are called as electrostatic forces. That's why the atoms of the same charges attract each other, and the atoms of the opposite charges, the atoms of the same charges repel each other, and the atoms of the opposite charges attract each other. So a charged object, can either repel each other, repel or attract. It can either repel or attract the other charged object. It can either repel or attract the other charged object. And these are called as electrostatic forces. Other charged object, and these are called as electrostatic forces, and the forces between them are called as electrostatic forces. And the forces between them are called the electrostatic forces. The force between these objects are called as the electrostatic forces, and a charged object can also attract an electrically neutral object. It is not necessary that charged object can attract or repel the another charged object. It is also possible that a charged object can attract or repel the electrically neutral object. So we are going to write that a charged object can also attract an electrically neutral object, and charged object can also attract an electrically neutral object, and we can see the example in that comb attracted the pieces of paper. If you have ever seen a comb with some oil on it, then it can attract the pieces of paper. So like your comb can attract the pieces of paper. So comb is the charged object and the paper is the uncharged or electrically neutral object. So here paper is electrically neutral, and comb is the charged object. Now the next topic that we are going to look at is properties of charges. Now what are the properties of charge? We are going to talk about that. So the very first property of charge is that like charges repel each other. Like charges repel each other. That means if there is a positively charged particle and another positively charged particle, so they are going to repel each other. That means a positively charged particle and another positively charged particle, they are going to repel each other. That means they are going away from each other. So they are going away from each other, and unlike charges attract each other. And unlike charges attract each other. Unlike charges are going to attract each other. That means if there is a positively charged particle and a negatively charged particle, so they are going to attract each other. Now the next property of charge is that a charge is quantized. That means a charge is quantized, and that means that charge on an object is equal to plus Ne. That means we can calculate the charge on an object, and the charge on an object, the charge on an object is equal to plus minus Ne, and here n is an integer, and here n is an integer, and E has a charge that is equal to 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb. So the charge is E. E is measured in coulomb and the charge is also measured in coulomb. So that is mean by charge is quantized. And the third property, we are going to write it here, that electric charge is a scalar quantity. We are going to write that electric charge is a scalar quantity. Now, the next topic that we are going to look at is what is the unit of charge. So we are going to talk about the unit of charge, and the charge of an electron is so small that it is not convenient to select it as a unit of charge, because the charge on the electron is that small. So we can write it as the charge on the electron is very, very small. The charge on the electron is very small, and it is that small that we cannot select it as a unit. The charge on an electron is so small the charge on an electron is so small that it is not convenient that it is not convenient it is not convenient to select it as a unit of charge. It is not convenient to select it as a unit of charge, and in practice, coulomb is used as a unit of charge. In general life, coulomb is used as a unit of charge because electrons charge cannot be considered as a unit. So, in practice, coulomb is used. In practice, coulomb is used as a unit of charge. So coulomb is used as a unit, and coulomb is equal to 81 unit of charge is coulomb. And we are going to write that 1 unit of charge, a 1 unit of charge is coulomb, and it is abbreviated as C. And it is abbreviated as C. Now we can also call that 1 coulomb of charge is equal to 625 into 10 raised to the power 16 electrons. So 1 coulomb of charge is equals to charge on 625 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 16 electrons. So 1 coulomb of charge is equal to charge on 625 into 10 raised to the power 16 electrons. So how can we calculate the charge of 1 electron? If 1 coulomb is equals to charge on 625 into 10 raised to the power 16 electrons, so how can we calculate the charge of only 1 electron? We are going to look at that. So when we say that a body has a positive charge, so it is equal to 1 coulomb. When we say that a body has a positive charge, when we say that a body has a positive charge, and it has a positive charge of 1 coulomb, then that is equals to plus 1 coulomb. The charge will be equal to plus 1 coulomb, because it means that the body has a, it means that the body will have, it means that the body has a charge of, a deficient charge of 625 multiplied by 10 raised to the power 16 electrons. And how can we calculate the charge on 1 electron? The charge on 1 electron will be equal to the charge on 1 electron in coulomb is given by, the charge on electron is given by, here we are writing electron, and we are writing the negative sign here because the electron carry the negative charge, and that will be equal to minus 1 upon 625 into 10 raised to the power 16 electrons. So that will be equal to minus 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb. I hope this is clear to all of you that how can we calculate the charge of 1 electron. Now the next topic that we are going to look at is the flow of charge, that how the charges flow. So we are considering two metallic spheres A and B, and let's say we are considering two metallic spheres A and B, and let sphere A is positively charged. Let the sphere A is positively charged. Let the sphere A be positively charged, and sphere B is negatively charged, and sphere B is negatively charged. Then what happens here is that let these pairs are connected by a metallic wire. We are connecting these pairs, the two spheres, a positively charged sphere and a negatively charged sphere. We are connecting these pairs by a metallic wire. So let these pairs are connected. Let these pairs connected by a metallic wire. And what happens will the electrons flow from the sphere B to the sphere A. That means the electrons will flow from lower potential to higher potential. As we can draw the figure also, let's say these are the two spheres. We are just standing it on. So let's say these are the two spheres and they are connected by a metallic wire. They are connected by a metallic wire. This is the sphere number A and this is sphere B. So as we can see, sphere A is positively charged. So we are adding charge to it, that it is positively charged. And sphere B is negatively charged. So we are adding the charge negative. Negative here. Now what happens here will, the electrons will flow from the sphere B to A. The electrons will flow in this direction. So the electrons will flow from sphere B. Sphere B is negatively charged, so it will have a lower potential. From lower potential to a sphere of A that has higher potential. To sphere A at higher potential. The charge will flow like lower potential to higher potential. Now what happens in there here is that the flow of electron continues. Here the flow of electrons continues from the lower potential to higher potential. So the flow of electrons continues till the potential of both the spheres become equal. The flow of electrons will continue till the potential of both the spheres become equal. Till the potential of both the spheres till the potential of both the spheres become equal. Now when the potential of both the sphere will become equal, this shows that the flow of charge, this shows that the flow of charge the flow of charge, that is the charge through electrons, the flow of charge, that is the charge through electrons between two spheres between two spheres continues as long as they have different potentials. As long they will have the different potential, the flow of charge will continue. So continues as long as they have different potentials. As long as they have different potentials. Or as long as there is a potential difference between the two spheres. Or we can say, or as long as there is potential difference, or as long as there is potential difference between the two spheres. Now, with this, I hope everything is clear to all of you. And now with this, we are going to end the lecture here only. And thank you everyone.